Chapter 1. Mr. Phileas Fogg was a rich man who lived in London. He didn't have to work. Instead, every day he went to his club. Every day he went at 11:30 a.m. doing the same thing at the same time every day was Fogg's habit. Starting at 11:30 he always read the paper in the club's library. Every day he sat in his favorite chair under the big clock in the dining room. He always ate a lunch of carrots, potatoes, and chicken at 12:45. In the evening he would talk with his friends and play cards. They sometimes gambled for money. Fogg's gambling was his only irregular habit. His life was steady, but a good one. One day Fogg was at the club with 3 of his friends. They were taking a break from their card game. They were discussing a story in the paper. The paper said a person went around the world in 80 days. Fogg's friends did not believe the story. "That's ridiculous," said Mr. Sullivan, a banker with red hair who was standing beside Fogg. "Your chances of success are 1 in a million. No one could make such a journey in less than 3 months," said Dr. Johnson, a very rich man who always wore fancy shirts. "I doubt you would return on time, Fogg," said Mr. Shepherd, a dentist and former classmate of Fogg's. "I bet you £20,000 that I can go around the world in 80 days, Fogg said. His friends looked at each other for a moment. That was a lot of money. But they were certain he would not be able to do it. All 3 men accepted his bet. Fogg stood up quickly. "Then I suppose I should go home to get ready for my trip. I will begin tonight, and see you back here, in this room in 80 days, he said before rushing out the door. When Fogg came through his front door he surprised his servant, Passepartout. Passepartout put down the large dish he was drying and went out to the hall. Fogg always came back home at 10 o'clock, but it was only 7:38. He never acted oddly like this. "Is everything okay?" Passepartout asked. Passepartout got the job as Fogg's. They both liked to be on time, so they got along well. "Yes, Passepartout," Fogg answered, "but we are going on a trip. Fetch my traveling clothes and pack our bags. And please hurry. We have a train to catch." They hurried to Victoria Station in London and Fogg bought tickets for Paris on the Dover-Calais-Paris line. The idea of the trip excited Passepartout. "Paris, sir? We're going to Paris?" "I haven't been to Paris in so long. This is wonderful," Passepartout said. "My Aunt Adele lives in Paris." Fogg turned to Passepartout. He put his hands on Passepartout's shoulders and said seriously, "My dear Passepartout, there's no time to see your aunt in Paris. We're going around the world." They were in Paris the next day. Fogg immediately bought tickets for Brindisi, Italy. They were lucky because the train was leaving in just 10 minutes. They ran as fast as they could to get on it. Fogg was pleased when he got on board the train. He was ahead of schedule already. Back in London, news of Fogg's trip spread quite quickly. In fact, many papers around the world wrote stories about him and his bet. They even printed his picture and maps of his route. People argued whether he could succeed or not. One day a policeman named Fix read about him. The Bank of London was robbed the day before Fogg left England. Fix was in Suez, Egypt, looking for the thief. After reading the story, Fix thought Fogg was the thief. He believed Fogg made up the story about going around the world. He thought it was Fogg's clever idea to make it easy to escape. This was a case Fix wanted to solve. Fix thought he was more clever than Fogg. He wanted to catch Fogg. The papers wrote about the schedule Fogg was following. Fix saw that Fogg would soon be in Suez. He hurried to the police station to write to Scotland Yard. He wanted permission to arrest Fogg. Fogg had taken a boat from Brindisi, Italy to Suez, Egypt. The trip across the Mediterranean was very quiet and peaceful. Fogg stayed in his room and read and played cards and chess in bed. He didn't know Fix was waiting for him at the port in Suez. Fix walked back and forth on the dock. Many people got off the boat from Brindisi, but not Fogg. It grew dark and the moon rose in the sky. Fix began to get upset. Where was Fogg, he wondered. Then he looked at the boat's schedule. The boat was continuing on to Bombay, India. Fix realized Fogg was not going to get off the boat. He was going to go straight to India. Even though Fix did not have his warrant from England, he too bought a ticket to Bombay. He was going to follow Fogg and see what he could learn. On the voyage to Bombay, Fogg again rarely left his cabin. Right after they left Suez, he made one quick trip to the captain's cabin. He offered the captain a lot of money to arrive in Bombay early. Then he went back to his cabin. Passepartout, however, enjoyed walking along the boat's deck. He was still excited about their journey. And the sea was so green, the sky was so blue, and the air was so fresh. He was glad Fogg took him with him. One morning after breakfast he brushed up against Fix on the deck. "Hello," said Passepartout. "Hello," said Fix. "And where are you headed to, sir?" he asked. Bombay and Passepartout began to answer, but Fix cut in with another question. "And Calcutta?" "Yes, sir, and many other fun and excellent places," Passepartout said. "We're going around the world." Chapter 2. A few days later the boat was very near Bombay. Fogg and Passepartout went to the dining cabin to eat dinner. But there were no seats. Finally Passepartout saw Fix sitting alone. He asked him if they could join him. Fix said yes, and they sat down to a dinner of red beans, pork, eggs, and cream corn. After they introduced themselves, Fix asked, "So, Mr. Fogg, where are you going after arriving in Bombay?" "TP Calcutta and then Hong Kong. After Hong Kong we are going to America." Fix just smiled. He already knew Fogg's course from the papers. "Oh, so you're the man who's going around the world in 80 days," he exclaimed. "Yes," Fogg answered. "And you, Mr. Fix, are you going to India on vacation?" "No. I'm a policeman from Scotland Yard. My trip to India is for business. My business may take me to Hong Kong and Japan as well," he explained slyly. "And by the way, could you pass me that basket of bread and butter, please?" The boat arrived in Bombay a day early, just as the captain had promised. Fogg paid him and they got off the boat quickly, to catch the train to Calcutta. Fogg was pleased because he was 2 days ahead of schedule. But he feared that in India there would be delays. "Things in India are slower than in Europe," he said to Passepartout while they sat in a small dirty Indian restaurant eating bowls of curry and pepper-flavored cheese. "The food is much spicier," gasped Passepartout as he drank some water from an orange clay cup. "And the weather is hotter. It's only autumn, you know." He picked up a napkin and wiped the sweat off his lip. Fix went to a police station to see if he could arrest Fogg. But the warrant from London had not arrived. He mailed a short letter to London. Fix decided he must catch the train to Calcutta and try again there. He rushed off to the station. He caught the train in time and sat in an empty seat next to Fogg. "It's the man going around the world," Fix said, speaking like an old friend. "Yes, Mr. Fix, it's a pleasure to see you again. So I guess your business is taking you to Calcutta," replied Fogg. "Yes, unfortunately it is," Fix responded. Passepartout did not say anything. He was getting a bad feeling about Fix. The train traveled slowly. Soon all of the men were asleep in their bunks in the sleeping car. But the next morning the train came to a sudden stop. A conductor was ringing a loud bell. Fogg looked out the window. They were deep in the jungle. They were not in Calcutta yet. "What is the matter?" Fogg called out to a conductor. "Has the engine broken down?" No, sir. The track ends here. 50 miles away the track starts again. You can rent an elephant in the village market to carry you through the jungle, the conductor explained. Through the jungle, sir? But I'm afraid of bats and snakes and tigers. Passepartout cried. Sorry, Passepartout, but that is what we must do. Fogg shouted, come on now, we must hurry. But when Fogg and Fix and Passepartout went to the market, they found that all the elephants had already been rented. Now what can we do? Cried Fogg. Surely we cannot walk 50 miles through a burning hot jungle. How about by bicycle? Fix asked. Don't be stupid, said Fogg. We must think. Pardon me, sir, but you could try to buy an elephant, the conductor advised. If you leave now, you will be there by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Passepartout thought that was a good idea. But when he searched the market he only found one elephant and its owner would not sell it for any amount of money. Fogg offered him 1,000 rupees, then 1,500, then 2,000 and finally 3,000 rupees. But the old owner would not sell. My elephant will soon have a baby, he said. I don't want to sell her. He was about to leave when he saw Passepartout's gold pocket watch. That is a beautiful watch. I will give you the elephant for that watch. He pointed to the watch and said. It's deal, Passepartout said. What about its baby? Fix asked. That is a special gift for you. But you will need a boy to direct it, the old man said. I can send my nephew with you, but it will cost 250 more rupees. Yes, fine, agreed Fogg. He wanted to continue. He was not concerned about cost. They had wasted too much time looking for an elephant. The old man came back with his nephew. His name was Parsee. Parsee said hello and Fogg paid the old man the money. Passepartout gave him the watch with a sigh. Shall we go? Parsee asked with a wide smile. Yes, let's go, Fogg urged. Parsee helped all of them get on the elephant and they entered the jungle. Traveling through the jungle was difficult. It was very hot, there were many mosquitoes and flies, and riding the elephant was very bumpy. Monkeys made ugly faces and screamed from the trees. Soon everyone wanted to stop for a rest. Parsee stopped the elephant and started to make a camp. The men sat down at the base of a banana tree to relax. They were very tired. Sitting in the grass felt great. They started to complain about ants when they heard strange voices and noises. Who's that? Passepartout asked. I will check, sir, Parsee answered and climbed up a big pear tree. He climbed down quickly. It's a group of men, sir, he said, and they have a woman prisoner with them. Is it the army, Parsee? Fix asked. I don't know, sir, Parsee answered. It looks like they are wearing police caps and jackets. And they are wearing long knives. This is horrible, said Passepartout and Fix. We must help the lady. Okay. I have a plan, said Fogg. I will talk to the men and ask them how to get to the village. When they are not looking at you, grab the woman and run back here. Then I will join you. And please be careful. There may be danger. They may try to hurt us. Fogg walked over to the Indian men and began to speak with them. Passepartout and Parsee ran up and grabbed the woman. They all ran back to the elephant. They got away safely even though the Indian men were very angry and shouted and chased them. They soon made it back to the train tracks. Along the way they had gotten to know their new friend, Aada, the Indian woman. She was very pretty. She was also shy, and she explained that the men took her because her father owed them money. Her father died, and since she had no brother in the village to pay them, they took her. She was very happy that Fogg had saved her. Have you no family at all? Fogg asked. No, I do have a brother, but he lives in Hong Kong, she answered. Hong Kong? Why, that's where we're going after we leave Calcutta. You're welcome to come along to Hong Kong with us if you wish, Fogg said. Really? Oh, thank you, sir. You are very kind, Aota answered. She was very happy and thought that Fogg was very king. Before they got back on the train to Calcutta, Fogg gave Parsee the elephant as a present. It was really 2 elephants if he counted the baby. Parsee was very pleased and said goodbye to all of them. He gave Passepartout a coin with a cute dolphin on it for luck. Good luck, he shouted. There were no more problems with the train. One day later they arrived in Calcutta. Fogg and Passepartout went to find the ship to Hong Kong. Fix hurried off to the police station. He was eager to receive his warrant. But when he got to the police station, he found it was still not there. He was very angry. He kicked the sergeant's desk and then he posted another note to Scotland Yard. This time he requested that the warrant be sent to Hong Kong. Chapter 3. The next morning Fogg, Aota and Passepartout were comfortably on the boat to Hong Kong. They were eating a delicious meal of brown bread, beef and cabbage soup. They were very surprised when they saw this. I have business in Hong Kong, he said. He did not feel like talking. He was a little angry that he still could not arrest Fogg. And his ankle hurt because he kicked the desk. The boat arrived in Hong Kong on schedule. Fix went to the police station as usual. Fogg went to find a boat to Japan. Passepartout went with Aota to find her brother. In the afternoon they met again at the dock. Fogg had bought tickets for Passepartout and himself for a boat to Japan. But Aota was still with Passepartout. Where is your brother, Aota? Fogg asked. Aota was very sad. Passepartout and she were not able to find her brother. When they went to his old address, they learned that he had moved to Europe. Cheer up, Aota, Fogg said. You can continue to travel with us, all the way to Europe. Think of all the wonderful countries you'll see. This made Aota very happy. It was always her dream to go to Europe. Passepartout was also sad. He was sad because he could not go sightseeing in the places they were passing through. That day Hong Kong seemed like such an exciting and interesting place. He wanted to stay and see more of it. He wanted to go to the zoo or go listen to a band. He really wished he could go shopping for gifts for his aunt and cousins. But Fogg was in a hurry and Fogg was in change. They all boarded the boat to Yokohama, Japan. The same boat was also going to go on to San Francisco in the United States. On the boat Passepartout saw Fix again. Fix was sitting on a black bench on the deck below. Passepartout was starting to hate Fix. He went down to talk to him. Hey, you're following us, he said. No, I'm not, Fix said. I have business in Japan and the US as well. Passepartout did not believe him and he walked away. Fix was also in a bad mood. The warrant had not arrived in Hong Kong. He was tired of traveling. He was tired of chasing Fogg. But there was nothing else for him to do. It was his job. He threw a small stone into the ocean angrily. The boat arrived in Yokohama and stayed in the port for just a few hours. Only Passepartout got off and walked around. He bought some yellow Japanese candles, rive cakes and chocolate candies for Fogg and Aota. He went to a restaurant but he couldn't eat the sweet and sour duck he ordered because he couldn't use chopsticks. He didn't know how to change his order either. Passepartout found that he didn't like Japan as much as Hong Kong. It was too expensive and there were too many Western buildings. Yokohama's art was a little boring. But he would rather stay in Yokohama for the night than get back on the boat. Passepartout really just wanted to relax and sit for an hour or two in a hot bath. But he had no choice. After 2 hours he went back to the ship. It soon set out for San Francisco. the captain let the passengers know that they would be in San Francisco in 22 days. Everybody felt a little down when they heard that. They were all sick of traveling. And 22 days at sea just seemed to be so long. But the time passed quickly. They ate sandwiches and fruit, played cards and watched the fish jump in the water. Ada taught Fogg and Passepartout how to sing Indian songs. When they got to San Francisco, they were happy to walk on land. San Francisco was such a beautiful city. Lovely mountains around the city made Passepartout wish he could go hiking or sightseeing. But there was no time. Passepartout envied the tourists walking around the square downtown. Fogg, Ada and he had to hurry to the train station. They bought tickets to New York. The tickets said they should arrive in New York in 7 days. Fogg and Passepartout did not see him, but Fix also bought a ticket for New York. He was not going to give up. It started snowing soon after they left San Francisco, and it never stopped. On the 3rd day the train finally came to a halt. "What's going on?" Fogg asked a conductor. "A snowstorm. The snow is piled too high on the tracks for us to pass through," the conductor replied. "Everyone must get off." Everyone got off the train. It was snowing extremely hard. It was so thick that they could not see their feet. Passepartout wished he had a warm hat. The ground was covered with ice. The wind was blowing strongly. Winters certainly were not like this in London, Fogg thought. Fogg did not know where they were. He did not know what to do. Everyone checked into a local hotel in very bad spirits. In the morning it was still snowing. Fogg was sitting in the hotel eating some apple pie. He was sipping some tea when Passepartout ran into the room. Sir, I found a sled. And it costs only $100. Very cheap. We can continue in the sled," Passepartout shouted. "That sounds like a good idea, Passepartout, but how will the sled move?" Fogg asked. "We have no animal, no horse, not even a donkey to pull it." "Ah, but there's the wind, sir, the wind," Passepartout answered. So they bought the sled and loaded all their belongings onto it. Ada climbed in while Passepartout was fastening a wide sail to the sled. Suddenly Fix came running up. "Do you have room for me as well?" he asked, out of breath. Passepartout was angry, but he did not say anything. Fogg was the boss, and Fogg was very generous. "Certainly," said Fogg. "I guess your business is in Chicago as well?" "Yes, and New York," he said angrily as he climbed into the sled next to Passepartout. Passepartout ignored him. He slapped down the sail and they took off across the bright white fields of snow. The wind blew their sled along as wonderfully as Passepartout had hoped. The snow never stopped, but in 2 days they were in Chicago. In Chicago it was not snowing. They soon found another train to New York. The trip took only 2 days, but now they were a day behind schedule. Fogg was anxious as he bought their tickets to Liverpool. He was in such a rush that he did not notice anything in busy New York. Getting on the boat to Liverpool, Passepartout stared at New York Harbor. "I hope I can get to know you better next time I see you," Passepartout whispered to himself. He didn't know Fix was standing behind him. "Don't look so sad, Passepartout," Fix said as he hooked his thumb into a buttonhole on his coat. "I'm sure you'll see it again." Passepartout walked away quickly. He wished Fix would just go away. Chapter 4. On the boat back to England no one could relax. Fix paced the deck, staring at the stars in the night and clouds in the day. Passepartout and Ada were careful not to disturb Fogg. Fogg was beginning to really worry about the date. He was worried about failing. He needed the boat to arrive in Liverpool in a week to win the bet. But it would be difficult to cross the big Atlantic Ocean in 7 days. He needed a miracle. It did not happen. The boat to Liverpool took 8 full days, as scheduled. They were still a day late. Fogg looked at his watch in disbelief. He looked at a calendar for a long time. It seemed impossible, but he had lost his bet. He got off the boat slowly. So this is the end, he thought. Passepartout and Arata did not know what to say. How can you comfort a man who lost £60,000? Passepartout wondered. Then Fogg looked at Arata and Passepartout. He smiled. Inside his heart he still felt happy. He didn't say anything, but everyone felt a little better. On the dock, Fix quickly said goodbye. Fogg and Passepartout and RNA to the Liverpool police station. At the station he found that his warrant had finally arrived. He was extremely excited. He ran all of the way to the Liverpool train station. He almost fell over with joy when he saw Fogg was still there. Fogg, Arata and Passepartout were about to get on a train to London. Stop. Stop, thief. Stop that thief. Fix shouted as he neared the train. Several policemen joined him. Fix ran up to Fogg and grabbed his arm. You, sir, are under arrest, he shouted into Fogg's face. Fogg was shocked. What are you talking about? He asked and tried to shake his elbow free. Fix waved the warrant and his finger in Fogg's face. You robbed the Bank of London and made up this game about going around the world to hide yourself. Fix answered. Arata did not know what to do. Passepartout was mad. He wanted to hit Fix on the chin, but he knew that would be wrong. Master Fogg would clear the matter up. But Fogg was so surprised he said nothing. For a long moment no one else said anything either. The tall policeman came up to Fix and whispered something in his ear. Fix's face turned red. Then it turned purple. He looked ill. Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry, Fogg, he said. I'm afraid I made a big mistake. They caught the robber this morning. I was on the boat. I didn't know. I'm truly very sorry. Please forgive me. Fogg was not angry. He was still in shock over losing his bet and being accused of a bank robbery in the same hour. He just shook his head. Oh, Fix, you made me miss my train, Fogg said. But I guess it doesn't matter. I'm a day late anyway. Fix apologized one more time and walked away. He was embarrassed. He had wasted so much time chasing the wrong man. Passepartout was still angry after Fix had gone. That man is a fool and a liar, Passepartout said. Take it easy, Passepartout. He was just doing his job. Now, let's go home, Fogg said and smiled at Arata once more. They all boarded the train to London. They rode in silence until it pulled into Victoria Station. They arrived in London at 7:30 p.m. One day late, they all walked slowly to Fogg's house. Fogg and Arata sat down in the drawing room. Passepartout began to sort out their boxes and bags. Now Fogg was poor, but he was not upset. He looked at Arata. He was happy because he was with her. Fogg realized he was in love with Arata. He wanted to marry her. This made him very happy. He no longer cared about his money. Oh, Passepartout, he said lightly, please, fetch me the paper. And a bit of tea would be nice as well. Yes, Mr. Passepartout answered from the kitchen. Fogg leaned back and was about to speak to Arata when Passepartout came running into the room. His eyes were very wide and he started to do a little dance. Sir, look at the date. The international date line. We forgot about the international date line. We're right on time. Fogg grabbed the paper. He was shocked. Passepartout was right. They had forgotten about crossing the international date line. They were on time after all. Fogg looked at his watch. He had 5 minutes to get to the club. He looked at Arata. She was laughing with joy. My dear, I will speak to you shortly, but first I'm off to the club, he said. Fetch me my coat. We have no time left. he roared to Passepartout. "I'm going to collect my bet." At 7:45 Fogg walked into the room at the club. All three of his friends stared at him. They could not believe it. They were sure he would be late. None of them said anything. "Good evening, gentlemen," said Fogg. "As always, I'm on time. Now, I believe we made a little bet some 80 days ago. No?